The first industrial revolution.
During the 18th and 19th century, a transition happened.
It's the transition from artisan activity to industrial activity. So let's study the difference between them, what the industrial activity is and what the artisan activity is. Artisans, or craftsmen, use tools to make their products, whereas workers in industries used machines. Artisans worked in workshops and industrial workers in factories. Workshops were just rooms aimed to make products by hand, whereas factories hosted more workers and big machines. There were places where the industrial activity was concentrated. Usually they were places rich in coal and sometimes with a good water or ground transport infrastructure. The first machines were powered by hydraulic energy, but James Watt invented the steam engine in 1765, powered by coal, and then the hydraulic energy was replaced. The artisanal and industrial manufacturing process were completely different. Artisans used to make the products from the very beginning of the process to the end, but the industrial system created a new way, the division of labor. According to this system, each worker specialized in a single task in the process. Workers should work at speed required by the machines.
Work specialization, sometimes called a division of labor, refers to the degree to which an organization divides individual tasks into separate jobs. Work specialization, also called a division of labor, allows a manager to take complex tasks and break them down into smaller, more precise tasks that individual workers can complete. Each employee is trained explicitly on how to best perform one small, specific task. Over time, that employee becomes extremely proficient and effective at performing that task. This allows every employee in the organization to be an expert to some degree. For example, Mary assembles the frame. Bob adds the sides. Aaron paints the product. Josh checks that the product is complete. And Jack prepares the product to be shipped. The entire development process is extremely complex and made up of several specialized steps. When these steps are divided among individual employees, it becomes far less complex. The product is finished and ready to be sold after each employee completes his or her respective task in the product development process. If one employee were responsible for the entire product development process, the results would be far less efficient and extremely time-consuming. Advantages of work specialization include each employee can be an expert to some degree, task refinement by the specialist leads to higher levels of productivity, work can be completed faster and more efficiently due to specialization, quality control costs are lower due to specialization, gives employees a sense of pride and job security due to their specialized skills, and all of the previously stated could lead to higher profit potential. Disadvantages of work specialization include specialization limits the ability to multitask. Employees are isolated and limited to performing small, repetitive, and at times boring tasks. Specialized workers have a smaller skill set than employees who are not specialized, making it harder to find work opportunities outside of that job. Employees are rarely challenged to do anything more than what they've always done, leading to burnout. When an employee leaves the organization, they take their specialized knowledge with them. Limited cooperation and communication among employees, and coworkers cannot fill in for employees when they are absent, potentially limiting the amount of work that can be done without the specialized employee. The advantages of work specialization include employees can be an expert to some degree in their specific tasks, higher levels of productivity, lower quality control costs, job security for employees due to specialized skills, and higher profit potential. The disadvantages of work specialization include limiting the ability to multitask, isolating and limiting employees, smaller employee skill sets that can exist only when the employee is working, and limited cooperation and communication among employees.
The division of labor produced an economic improvement. because it brought different consequences. Textile industry developed very fast in England, thanks to the British colonial empire and the technology that improved processes. Colonial empire, the colonies, provided raw materials, cotton for example, for the textile British industry, and inventors provided technology to improve all the processes. James Hargreaves, Richard Arkwright, and Samuel Crampton developed mechanical spinners. John Kay and Edmund Cartwright developed a flying shuttle and a mechanical loom to improve the weaving. These machines made the system of production more efficient, but the real expansion started when machines became steam-powered. Britain flooded international markets and that increased other economic activities. Textile products demanded other raw materials, and workers demanded food from the agriculture sector. And at the same time, the machines used in the textile production demanded an improvement from the iron industry. The Industrial Revolution wouldn't have been possible without the iron industry. Iron was first imported from Sweden at really high costs, but since 1709 was produced in Britain thanks to the invention of the blast furnace by Abraham Darby. This furnace smelt iron using products derived from coal. That was great for Britain because they avoided bringing to the island the very heavy and expensive iron from Sweden. They just replaced it using coal, and coal was really abundant in Britain. In 1783, Henry Cort invented a more powerful furnace to produce wrought iron that is easily bent in order to make chains or nails. The economic theory used during the old regime was replaced by a new one, the liberalism. Economic liberalism was an ideology based on the theories by Adam Smith in his book The Wealth of Nations. This theory says the economic activity should be ruled by the principle of economic freedom. According to this, we need freedom for, first, to create companies, second, to hire workers, and third, to set the prices of our products. Freedom lets the economy adjust itself, so the intervention of the state is not necessary. Adam Smith called this way of adjusting the invisible hand. Actually, the invisible hand refers to the fact that prices and costs of production, salaries, are regulated by the law of the offer and demand. The more offer we have, the less prices we get. And just the opposite. The less offer we have, the higher prices we get. So according to the theory of Adam Smith, exactly if there is a high supply of products or labor, and of course low demand, prices and salaries go down. On the other hand, if supply is low and demand is high, prices and salaries just rise. For example, imagine our group in class. We are in our beloved history lessons, I know you love it. And then we have only one student producing pens for everybody. Everybody needs a pen to write down our notes, right? So imagine we have only one producer, but everybody needs this pen. That means we have only one producer, and that means a very low offer. And everybody needs a pen to write, so that means a very high demand. The problem is this one can ask a very high prices because he cannot produce a lot of pens. That means prices will rise. On the other hand, imagine we have 10 or 15 people producing pens. That means the offer of pens will be higher, and of course they will compete one among the others, so they have to lower prices just to convince us to buy the cheapest one. That's the invisible hand.